Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation. Hello, and thank you for joining this live webinar presented by the Cisco Learning Network. This webinar will be recorded and made available on the Cisco Learning Network, and information on how to access the recording will be emailed to you following the live session. Please allow up to 5 business days for the full recording to be made available. Thank you very much and enjoy the presentation.
This meeting is being recorded.
Hello, everyone. Good morning or good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Rigo Villa. I'm one of the community managers on the Cisco Learning Network, and I'll be your host today. In this session, we will be covering what's new in Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN 20.12 and 17.12 with our speaker and presenter, Praveen Anand. But before we get started, I wanted to share a couple of quick housekeeping notes. First, if you have any questions during the session, we ask that you please post them. And also, if you experience any audio streaming issues during the live presentation, I do recommend using the call and telephone number that I'm going to be posting in the chat window here in just a moment. And at the end of this webinar, you're going to get a pop-up survey with a couple of questions about today's presentation. And we would really appreciate it if you can just take a moment to fill it out and share with us any thoughts or feedback that you may have about today's session. And last but not least, I want to let our attendees know that this session will be recorded and will be available on demand. And I'm going to be posting some information on how you can catch that a little bit later on as well. And without any further delay, I am now going to turn it over to our speaker to get us started. So Praveen, if you're ready, please take it away.
Thank you so much, Rigo, and welcome everybody for today's session. So today, as we as Rigo updated, we'll be talking about what's new in Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN 20.12 version, and we'll be seeing what are the new features and enhancements that can be found in the 20.12 or 17.12 version. So my main goal for today is for you to leave this presentation with a understanding of what's new in Catalyst SD-WAN 20.12, and for you to understand the value of upgrading to this latest version. So there are a lot of useful features we are going to talk about today, and I'm really excited to provide you a sneak view of what's new here. In today's session, we'll cover the following topics. I've divided the session into 5 parts. So first one is we'll talk about what's new in infrastructure and services, platform and operations, security and analytics, cloud networking, and finally we'll have a small demo of what on all features are new in this 20.12 release. So a little sneak view of all these topics. So with this release, we continue to add infrastructure capabilities, which will be addressing our customers' unique use cases or requirements. So in that we have our enhanced application aware routing. So this is basically your application aware on steroids. And later we have some optimization of your MRF to solve more and more use cases. And we also have some cool multi-tenant features to optimize provider architecture and designs. We're also giving top priority to user experience with our UX 2.0, and we are tackling some of the key challenges around policies, configuration, security, and we are also making a user-friendly dashboard with the same. We also you will also see how the vManage can be used to onboard manage manage lifecycle for a non-SD-WAN device and the platform, which is also called as your SD-WAN routing. So sorry, SD routing. We will also see how the new capabilities like auto on synthetic traffic generation can make your already powerful NWPI even the more powerful feature. And also we'll be delivering the integration of the AWS Cloud WAN in this release to cater more of our use cases of our customers. The same applies with our Azure cloud as well, wherein the cloud gateway throughput will be drastically increased and the scaling capabilities to support more and more powerful instances here. So without further ado, let's begin to see what exactly are we seeing here. So first one is the infrastructure and services. So here, before going before diving deep, I want to talk about the rebranding announcement, which was recently made around the Cisco Live timeframe. We had a marketing announcement about the rebranding of our the SD-WAN constructs. So, for example, the vManage is now called as the SD-WAN manager. The vBond is now called the SD-WAN validator, and so on. The key thing to note here is that the rebranding will reflect everywhere except your APIs and your CLIs. So here, as you can see that we have our old name. So for example, I'll take an example of the vSmart. Here, the old name is vSmart. The new name after rebranding is, which will be called as Cisco Catalyst SD-WAN controller. So in the documentation we'll have SD-WAN controllers, and what will be displayed on the manager is called as controller. And in your API or your CLI documentation, we'll still have the old name for all these controllers here. So let's start looking into what features are new in the 20.12 release. So we have the enhanced application aware routing, also called as EAAR. So what was application aware routing, right? So application aware routing was tracking the path liveliness of all the available links on the router, and it used to give us a quality score like our loss, latency, and jitter, and which were measured using the BFT sessions between the tunnels. Depending on how the application aware was configured, the failover to a better link would have happened based on that, right? So also this was a very good solution. The tunnel degradation detection and the failover was in order of minutes, right? So for example, the default time for the failover and the failover detection was close to 10 minutes. 10 minutes on the on the manager. So if you want, so you might say that we can go ahead and make it more aggressive by reducing the polling interval, right? So this might cause this used to cause a lot of false positive on the SLAs, and it used to cause traffic instabilities due to insufficient BFT samples which were collected. From 20.12 or 17.12, Cisco has introduced enhanced application aware routing. So the loss, latency, and jitter will now be measured with the actual packet or the inline data packet. So by doing this, we get a much better degradation detection and faster switchover time. So now the default time is 10 seconds from what was 10 minutes in the previous versions in the application aware routing. So also we have something called as the SLA dampening for tunnels by default. This is turned on by default. So this is to take into account for the unstable WAN links that are there, and this will be added way before to sending to the SLA forwarding table. We have some caveats here. So the unbind mode loopback as TLOC is not supported, and if you want to enable the enhanced application aware routing, this needs to be enabled on both your local as well as your remote site for this to work. And finally, we have the GRE tunnel do not support per queue loss measurement here. So next, let's talk about route symmetry and OMP rib metric. So in a multi-home site, on-box stateful features such as your NBAR, your security, app QoE, and NAT requires asymmetric routing, right? So the asymmetric routing is also needed to your external hosted services like your firewall, IPS, IDS, and so on. So the goal of this feature is to provide a simpler way to achieve the asymmetric routing with just the control plane constructs. So constructs like your configuration of affinity in a preference order, which is newly introduced in 17.12.1, which mainly implies that the edge or spoke will actually prefer a path which is tagged with a lower affinity group number. So this is also related to both your multi-region fabric as well as your non-multi-region fabric use cases, because obviously this is built upon the top. This is built upon the other the multi-region fabric features like your router affinity, transport gateway, and your sub-regions that were already present in your previous releases. The one caveat here is the UX 2.0 configuration group is not yet come for this feature, but this will be enabled in our further in our future releases. So next we have our BGP and OSPF route distribution for OMP route. So for people who are more interested in protocols like BGP and OS, we have a new update. So in our previous releases, we could only redistribute the OMP into BGP and OSPF with something called as the default metric or using a route map, right? So the BGP, so with the BGP, we could also propagate the AS path, but it was not that easy, right? To actually base the metrics from the OMP without actually creating a route map. So from 20.12, we have introduced a new knob called as the translate RIP metric, which will basically allow us to set the BGP met based on the OMP metric. Similarly, for OSPF, we have the same knob, which is the translate RIP metric. This will set the metric for OMP on the redistribution route in OSPF. So the only caveat here is there is actually no feature template or configuration group created for this. This is as of now available only as a add-on, CLI add-on template as of now in this release. So next we have our on-demand tunnel with the transport gateway. So talking about MRF, that is your multi-region fabric. So problem in our previous versions was it wasn't supported to have a transport gateway and on-demand tunnel, which can be enabled on the same devices, right? So as on-demand tunnels was actual branch feature only. So from 17.12. We can now enable the transport gateway and the on-demand tunnel on the same device itself. So this actually supports both your multi-region fabric and your non-multi-region fabric setup. So the caveat here is once you configure this, the control policy cannot actually override the filter which is enabled by this feature. And also this is still not available on the configuration group, and this will be available in the further releases. So next is we'll talk about how the configuration of hub and spoke topology. So in previous ways of configuring a hub and spoke topology was a little complex, right? Which has a lot of different steps like creating a centralized policy, filters and so on, right? So the solution here is to have a combination of transport gateway and again in this 20.12 release, we have introduced yet another new knob on the SD-WAN controller itself, which will now allow us to configure the hub and spoke topology as part of the config templates instead of going into the centralized policy and creating the hub and spoke topology. So you can still be able to use the feature on the control policy, like going and creating the hub and spoke policy on the control policy to make some tweaks like adding extra filters or having a set and match action over and above this new knob or feature. So with this new feature, it makes the customer to configure a hub and spoke topology without actually having a complex policy knowledge here. So in the demo, I will show you what is a new norm and how do we actually, where can we actually find this? So some of the caveats here include, again, the control policy cannot override the filtering enabled by this feature. And this is still not available on the configuration group, and it will be available in the further releases. So that was about the new features and enhancement which are available in this releases. So let's talk about some of the features which are there in the platform and operations. So NWPI, right, network-wide path insight. This was a very good feature which was released in the previous releases. So this basically provides network-wide insights such as path insight overview, your application performance insight, event insight, QoS insight, the DNS domain, and it also helps us to validate policy design and insights from for various application performance issues. But however, the NWPI trace need to had to be triggered on demand as needed, right? This was not automated, and there was a very high demand or a high demand request we had got for this particular feature. So from 20.12, NWPI is further enhanced to have a insight summary, which actually includes the path insight overview, application performance insight, event insight, and QoS insights. And also the NWPI auto task on can now be configured to be triggered automatically based on two things. One is your SLA violations and the QoS condition alarms. So this would actually help us troubleshoot the network issue, which with more detail, with the capture of the traces which from the NWPI. Also, as part of the NWPI trace, there are additional grouping fields, and we have support to generate synthetic traffic as well to be captured with the NWPI trace. All right, so let's talk about the hot topic for this version, which is the SD routing. Um, so currently, our iOS XE routers are operated either in controller or autonomous mode, right? But the SD-WAN manager is used to manage only manage and monitor only your iOS XE routers, which are mainly operating on the controller mode only. Uh, the ask was to use the SD-WAN manager to monitor the other non-SD-WAN routers, which are running on autonomous mode as well. So finally, in 17.12.1 release, we have introduced SD routing that that will transform the platform experience here. So it will support the following features, so including device onboarding. Here, as you can see on the right side of the slide, the autonomous mode devices first authenticate by the SD-WAN validator with a transient connection. And this will be managed by the SD-WAN manager with a persistent connection. So here, there is actually no need for connecting to our vSmart, that is your SD-WAN controller, since this is a non-SD-WAN device. Next is the device monitoring. So once the device is onboarded, we can now monitor the device to see its CPU, CPU utilization, memory utilization. We can also see the interface status and even get an alarm and even notification for these non-SD-WAN devices. So with this, we can now manage, monitor, and troubleshoot from all from a single NMS. Also, 17.12.1 also supports software lifecycle management and device troubleshooting. So this is actually still in phase one of the support for SD-WAN, SD routing. So from the further future releases like 13.x, we will have support for phase one of configuration management and have two important use cases for SD routing, which is your cloud connectivity and your security workflow. So there are some caveats here. Like I mentioned, the configuration management will be supported in the subsequent releases. And currently, the hardware which are supported is ASR 1 case, ISR 1 case, 4 case, and your Catalyst 8200, 8300, 8500, and your virtual 8K devices. All right, so let's talk about the SD routing licensing part. Um, SD routing plans to support a wide range of current and legacy routing platforms across both your on-prem as well as your cloud management. Let's first talk about your on-prem controllers first. So as we know, the Cat 8K goes with a mandatory DNA attached, DNA attached to this during the time of purchase, right? So if the DNA is still active, the customer is entitled to download the vManage and the vBond image and install them on the on-prem and start using SD routing. So for a cloud delivered controller, SD routing will require licenses like the DNA-CDCS, that is your cloud delivered Catalyst SD-WAN license, and the DNA SD CD CS SDKs for SD routing are currently on the roadmap. And also for the legacy platform like your ISR 4K, ASR 1K, ISR 1K, a new monitor-only license is on the roadmap. So this basically provides the capabilities such as your zero-touch provisioning, monitoring, and troubleshooting. It also provides software image management. But the only thing it doesn't support is the configuration part because this is only a monitor-only license. So let's talk a little bit about the UX 2.0 global network view. So this offers to monitor the entire WAN in a visual geographical format, right? So it basically offers interactive features like view a site or tunnel details or to inspect or troubleshoot with a geographical perspective in mind. In our previous release, which is your 20.11, the timeline view was not supported for a global topology, and it was not integrated with other tools such as your NB, network-wide path insights, right? So in 20.12 or in 17.12, the global topology feature is further enhanced to provide the timeline view. And now it is easy to navigate with integration of various troubleshooting tools here. Now the users will be able to view the site in an enhanced geographical view, and we can go ahead and easily navigate from the dashboard as well. Now we have a very tight integration with the NWPI, which can trigger trace and view inside summary directly from the map. So we also get the ability to zoom into a particular region or a site and get its details right on the map itself. Also, finally, we can go ahead and see the view tunnel option on the SD-WAN overlay tunnel from any site to any other site and see the tunnel statistics here. So this will be more clear when we see this particular thing on the demo. All right, next let's talk about security and analytics. Um, so we have some enhancement in our security UX. So we all know that the Cisco SD-WAN security provides end-to-end security for the network and users, right? So many of our customers have already adopted the security stack in their cloud or their on-prem setup. So as part of this, the customer actually required a simplified in the deployment and operational capability, and then at the same time they wanted the enhanced visibility to counter security threats in their networks. So for that, there are some key enhancements which are which are available from 20.12. So the first thing is it gives us an ability to simply deploy user-based policies along with the zone-based policies, and we get the ability to drill down the device level for security investigation and threat detection. And also we get an ability to view the firewall rule sets, the policy name, URL category, threat name, malware, and even your signal status right off the dashboard. So it's now easy to use a workflow based in the security policy, which is deployed using your policy group integration. And finally we have a completely redesigned SecOps dashboard with ability to view end-to-end security stacks in a in a summarized view now. Next is your predictive path recommendation, closed loop automation. In our predictive path recommendation, which is powered by our 1000i WAN insights, this basically generates a predictive insights for recommended path for application. This is done by basically leveraging the telemetry from the SD-WAN network. But however, the user needs to modify the policy manually to ensure the application traffic and use a recommended path. Right? So there was no automation. So in 20.12, the user can now click on so now apply recommendation on SD-WAN analytics, and it directly triggers a closed loop automation on the SD-WAN manager. So this actually does automation of the same. But the only caveat here is when you have to edit. So when you have to manually edit a policy, this will automatically revert all the recommendation and goes back to manual mode. So now let's talk about let's move to some of the feature or feature enhancement in cloud networking. So first one is we have some we have some enhancements in the AWS cloud integration. So previously we had some issues when our current integration with AWS Transport Gateway, which used to offer which offers a robust solution for the AWS cloud integration, and this was great when we had very few regions, right? But when the regions count was increased, this was exponentially complicated to integrate with the SD-WAN fabric. So the idea here is to leverage the global cloud native construct to connect any multi-region clouds to the AWS. And this solution is also this solution also addresses site to site, site to cloud, and even your region to region use cases with just simple workflows from directly your SD-WAN manager or your vManage. So talking about AWS, we have some improvements on Azure as well. So in case of Azure cloud provider, large scale deployment needed a higher throughput for your cat virtual 8 kbs NVAs running in your Azure vWAN. So the cloud on RAM multi-cloud with Azure vWAN integration, which is currently supports up to only 10 scale unit, which is roughly translated, which is close to 5 GB, 5 Gbps throughput. So some of the customers with a larger scale deployment, they actually needed a higher throughput support. So from 20.12, the cloud on RAM multi-cloud workflow will now support deploying D16 V5 instances, and along with horizontal scaling, which can achieve a higher scale. So we have a scale from 10 to 20, 40, 60, 80, which again translates to 10 Gbps, 20, 30, and 40 Gbps speeds. And also from from a SD-WAN branch router to a 8 kb NVA, the traffic is sent via multiple tunnels by flow-based load balancing across SD-WAN overlay tunnels, and we have to 8Ks is now flow-based load balancing. Right. So next, talk about the 8K support on the Equinox. Um, So previously we had only support for Megaport for the 8Ks. So for Equinix, the only support was the CSR 1000 Vs, right? And so this was until 20.9 image. So the problem was with the Equinox platform, which was not which did not had support for the 8K due to its limitation of the underlying platform. So now the Equinox has upgraded its underlying platform to support the CAT K, 8 kbs in controller mode. So from 17.12 onwards, the SDCI automation workflow will instantiate the Catalyst 8Ks into the Equinox fabric. So there is a prerequisite, there is a caveat here. So the already existing CSR 1000 Vs will still continue to function, but it will not support or it will not onboard any new CSR 1000 Vs. So it is, the Cisco recommendation is to migrate from the older CSR 1000 Vs to the new Catalyst 8 kVs. So we we also have support on the connection edits and audit from Equinox. So if a user needs to make any edit on the SDCI connection, right? The user had to actually delete and recreate a new connection for this. So this was actually a disruptive method, and this was not ideal for the dynamic environment. Also, there is a need for a mechanism to track and notify any changes which is happening in the IC, IC gateway connections. So from 17.12, so Equinox SDCI users can now edit connection parameters like your VPC, tag, segment, prefix on the manager without actually causing any disruptions. And also, Equinox SDCI users can now use audit capabilities to track and notify about any drift in the configuration of Equinox IG, IGGWN connections. So that was about the presentation. Let me quickly open my manager and show you a quick demo of the things we have just discussed. All right, so this is the landing page of the manager. Let me actually show you the version which I'm running. So this is on 20.12.1 version. And the first thing you will notice is the controller names. So the controller names are changed from vBond to validator, vSmart to controllers, and vManage to manager. So when you open this, it is almost the device view is still the same. But here the device model clearly says that it's still a vBond, and everything else remains the same here. We have site name, system IP, the health status, reachability, uptime, CPU load, memory utilization, and the version which is running. So in actions also we have multiple options to directly jump into. You have alarms, events, real time, SSH, and we also have some troubleshooting tools like ping and trace route directly soon accessible from this device page. So all the other dashboards almost remain the same here. We have our site health, tunnel health, WAN head health, transport health, application aware routing, top application, and application health. Again, we have an option to change from or sort from good performing sites to fairly and poor performing sites. Same applies to tunnels and the managed devices as well. Again, if you click on view details, it'll again give us the details of all the things which are available here. For example, we are seeing tunnels, right? So whatever tunnels are available here can be seen from this option. So the main change here is your global topology, which is here. When you click on this, this gives us a global topology view of all the devices in the fabric, like we saw in the presentation. So there is a I mark here. If you click here, it'll show you the tunnel statistics between the sites. So we can see that what is the status of the tunnel between each sites. We also have an option to click here. So this actually shows us the site hierarchy of the fabric, and obviously we can just skip to any of the site and it will get redirected to that particular site. We can also go ahead and click on this or any site here, and this will give us a view of or detailed view of that particular site. So for example, in this site, this is we have two devices, DC 2A and 2B, and it shows us the device health, the reachability status, vSmart controller, BFT, what is the CPU and memory utilization, what is the model number, and it also shows us the configuration group and the policy group here. So this is a clickable link. So if you want to see what is the configuration group, or if you want to make some changes, you can directly click on this, and this will redirect the page to the configuration group tab. Similarly, it's the same for the policy group. If you click on this, it will redirect it to the policy group. So the NWPI part, which we were talking about in the presentation, is here. So it is tightly integrated with the topology now. So if you click on this, it will automatically redirect to the NWPS page and application. So since we don't have anything running for this site right now, so nothing is visible. And also we have troubleshooting tools which are integrated like ping, traceroute, simulate flows, admin tech, and other tools here. And we have other detailed information about the site topology, site dashboard, and view tunnels. So this can all we can also see the site topology by just clicking on the site topology here as well, and this will redirect us to the site topology view of this particular uh, site. So as you can see that this site has been changed, we can go ahead and change it to global to have a view of the entire fabric on the dashboard. So next, if you remember, I was talking about the security dashboard, right? So there is a enhancement to provide greater flexibility in troubleshooting all the security threats here. So this has been drastically improved. So we have the firewall counter, the SIG tunnel, stop threat, IPS, AMP, URL filtering, and all the security events which are separately seen here. So if you click on details, actually we can go ahead and see or filter it out here. We can see what is the inspected traffic, allowed traffic, and so on. Or if you click on view details, it will show you what and all traffic were got inspected, what is the rule name, what is the policy name, what is the action which is taken, and what are the devices which are hit. So when you click on devices, it comes to or it shows us what devices are there and what was the last occurrence of this hit. What is the site name? What is the device IP and the site ID? So we can also see what is the total number of hits which were there for this firewall rule. So similarly, we have for top threats. Again, we can filter it out for high risk signature malicious files. So when you click on view details, we can see what is the threat file name and what is the severity of this. So and also we can see if if it was a IPS incident or sorry IPS event type or the AMP event type. Again, we can see the devices which were impacted, and again it gives us the details of what is the device IP, what was the source IP, and the destination IP, along with the threat file names. Similarly, we have IPS, gives us what was the time entry and what is the high risk IPS event which was occurred here. And similarly, we have details for AMP and URL filtering. So when you click on the event details for security events, it will filter out all the security events which had occurred during the time. Again, we have options to have the time range here. You can go at for 7 days, or we can do a custom for 14 days here. So if you go ahead and click here, it will go ahead and select that particular time frame, or if you want to increase the time frame, you can drag and drop here, and it will go ahead and apply it and show all the events which have happened for that particular time period. So next, I want to talk about another one, which is here, which is configuration. So there are new sub menus which are added to the configuration menu, which are your configuration group, policy group, and topology. So if you remember, the configuration group was attached to the templates before. Now it's been separately presented. So it's still the same, but it's just having a different sub menu. Next, we have policy in a policy group. So there are new menus which are available in the configuration in a policy group, which are your policy group itself for the application priority and SLA, embedded security, secure internet gateway, and DNS security. The topology is also here. We can go ahead and create a topology for the site. And next we have something called as help, which is here. So in a single tenant deployment, we can access the help content from the SD-WAN manager by just clicking on the question mark here and click on help. So starting from 20.12, this is the in-product help which is available for for majority of the SD-WAN manager UI pages. So similarly, we have something called as DNS Sense. This is This is to access the help content from the SD-WAN Manager UI, and this is not enabled by default. We need to follow this instruction to go ahead and enable this. And once we once we enroll and configure your SD-WAN Manager, this will provide instructions from the online documentation pane, and the help content from the DNS sense is displayed across all the pages. I mean, majority of the pages of the SD-WAN Manager. Next, I want to show you about your enhanced application aware routing. How do we configure it? So we can configure it via two ways. One is your configuration group as well as your template, feature template. For that, I'm gonna jump into another vManage. Sorry, let me log in here. All right, so once we log in, we have to go to configuration and go to configuration group. So here I have created the test configuration group. Go ahead and edit this, and once we go and edit this, we have we have the basic here, right? So this feature is under basic and under basic here. So we can go ahead and edit this feature. So here, if you scroll down, we can see a new tab which is here, which is your enhanced application aware routing. And there is a information button which basically tells you that you have to enable this feature on both remote as well as your local device. When I go to global, we have a couple of options which are displayed here. One is your we can go ahead and disable this feature. We can make this more aggressive. We can have this under moderate or conservative. So depending on what you select, the timer will be reduced from default 10 seconds. Similarly, on templates, we can go to feature templates, and this feature or this is a new tab which is added here, which is your Cisco systems. When you click on it, so under basic configuration, if you scroll down, we again see our enhanced application aware routing. You can go ahead and change it to disable, aggressive, moderate, and conservative here. And next, I want to talk about hub and spoke, as we are already in a template. So hub and spoke also can be configured from a feature template. Here we have something called as site type. So let me make this global. So here we have spoke and branch. So if you want to create a spoke site, you can just go ahead and click this, and this will become a spoke site. And if you want to make it as a branch site, you can go ahead and select the branch site, and this becomes a branch site. So instead of going into the control configuration and control policies and creating a hub and spoke topology, we can do it from the feature template now. And finally, I want to talk about the NWPI tools. So here we have the new feature, which is the auto on. Here we can go ahead and select the event types, which is your SLA violation based on your SLA violation or your QoS conjunction, and we can select multiple sites as well here. And we can go ahead and select the hours and click on start. So this will go ahead and activate the task, which is the trace task, which is which is available. So everything, most of the features are almost same except for these. So these are the main features which I wanted to talk about. Let me come back to the presentation. So that was about the demo. Let me come back to the presentation. And to summarize whatever we have discussed till now, right? So first thing we saw was the rebranding of the SD-WAN Catalyst, right? So the vManage or the vSmart is now called as a manager or the validator or the controller. So that is there. And next is we have our application aware routing on steroids, which is enhanced application aware routing, wherein the turnaround time is reduced from 10 minutes to 10 seconds now. And next we have the intent-based hub and spoke topology configuration, which is made much more simpler than what we had before. And finally, we have our enhancement for the NWPI, which is your automation, which we just saw. And if you want to know more, more about what and all have changed on and what and all features have been added, we can go ahead and check the release notes, which I think Greg will be sharing in a couple of minutes. So there we can see all the features all the enhancements which have been listed out in 20.12. So with that, I want to hand over the ball to Rigo to send out the links here.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Praveen. Appreciate the great presentation and demo here for our audience. And before we wrap up our presentation for today, as Praveen just mentioned, we do have a few resources that we'd like to share with everybody. I just posted a few links into the presentation chat window, the links that you see displayed on the screen here in front of you. We have a couple of release notes as well as community links for you to check out at your convenience. So feel free to check the chat window and bookmark them or save them for future reference at any time. And then as far as additional questions from the audience, I'm actually looking at our Q&A panel and we have no remaining outstanding questions. So I think we are good to close out our webinar presentation for today. And again, Praveen, I just want to thank you for speaking about this topic with our audience. I hope that everyone found great value in the information and resources that we'll share here today. I would also like to extend a very big thank you to each and every one of our panelists for lending a hand with the questions throughout the webinar. We really appreciate it. And for our attendees, if you do have any additional questions about today's topic, we do encourage you to participate in our online post-webinar discussion. You are going to be redirected there upon exit, but the link has also been posted into the chat window, so we look forward to your participation. And a quick reminder that you will receive a short pop-up survey as soon as you exit the webinar, and we would be so grateful if you can just take a few minutes to complete it and let us know how you like today's presentation. We always look forward to receiving your valuable feedback. And for those of you who may be interested in revisiting this session, we will have the recording available for viewing on demand. The links have been posted into the chat window there as well for your reference, so feel free to check it out at any time. Thanks again to our presenter, to our panelists, and to all of our attendees for joining us here live. I hope that you all enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you so much.